Hello everyone, in this video I'll be solving an entire math module of the digital SAT on Bluebook. It's going to be a full walkthrough of module 1, practice SAT 4. I will keep the explanations brief because the time is limited, but if you have any questions, make sure to leave them in the comments below and I will answer them. You can also join my Discord. I sometimes stream solving problems, SAT, calculus, trigonometry, etc. Or you can come ask your questions on my Discord, find study buddies, do study sessions maybe, or just come hang out. You can also comment below which video I should do next, solving more problems or explaining something, etc. If you find this video useful, please like and subscribe and share it with your friends. Okay, then let's start. I'll be choosing SAT Practice 4 next. First, it goes without saying that you should read the directions and familiarize yourself with the interface before solving. If x equals 7, what is the value of x plus 20? So we just replace x with 7, so 7 plus 20 equals 27. The lists give the values in datasets x and y, which statements correctly compares the mean of datasets x and y. Okay, so we know the mean of a dataset is the sum of values of that dataset divided by the number of values. Now let's calculate the mean of dataset X. It's x plus 9 plus 9 plus 13 divided by the number of values, which is 4, which equals 9. The mean of dataset X equals 9. Now for dataset Y, it's the same plus 27, and now we have 5 elements, so that divided by 5 equals 12.6. We notice that the mean of dataset is less than the mean of dataset Y, and that's our option B. Right triangles PQR and ST are similar, where P corresponds to S. It means P equals S. If the measure of angle Q is 18 degrees, what is the measure of angle S? We know that the sum of all angles in any triangle equals 180 degrees. Now, PQR is a right triangle, and from the drawing we notice that R is a right angle, which means the angle R equals 90 degrees. And we have the angle Q, which equals 18 degrees. So we subtract these two values from 180. So 180 minus, open parentheses, 18 plus 90, close parentheses, should give us the value of P. Now P corresponds to S, which means P equals S. So our answer is 72, since they are the same angle. A rocket contained 467,000 kilograms of propellant before launch. Exactly 21 seconds after launch, 362,105 kilograms of this propellant remained. On average, approximately how much propellant in kilogram did the rocket burn each second after launch? Okay, now let's calculate how much it burned in total, which means how much it burned in the total of 21 seconds. So we subtract what we ended up with from what we started with. We find the result of how much it burned in total, which is 104,895 kilograms. Realistically speaking, it doesn't have to burn a fixed amount every second. It can burn, for example, 100,000 in the first 3 seconds and then 50,000 in the next 4 seconds, etc. But they told us on average and to approximate. So with the given information, all we have to do is divide that amount that they burned by 21 seconds, and we're going to approximate how much for 1 second on average the rocket burned. So let's divide that value by 21. We find 4,995, which is option A. In the given system of equations, what is the value of x plus y? The key here to do it fast is to notice that minus 3x plus 4x equals x. So we just have to add the two equations, and we get x plus y equals 20 minus 7, which is 13. So our answer is 13, which is C. A certain apprentice has enrolled in 85 hours of training courses. The equation 10x plus 15y equals 85 represents this situation, where x is the number of on-site training courses and y is the number of online training courses this apprentice has enrolled in. How many more hours does each online training course take than each on-site training course? So this question may sound tricky, but it's actually really easy. Which make sure you know what each number represents. This is the key in this problem. So we have that 85 is total hours that he's taking. Y is the number of online classes and X is the number of on-site classes. But what does 10 and 15 mean? Now 10 and 15 are how many hours a class takes. Now for one on-site class, it's 1 times 10, which means it's 10 hours a class, right? And for one online class, which is Y, so 1 times 15, it means it's 15 hours in a class. We notice that online classes are 5 hours more than on-site classes. So the answer is 5. Square X has a single length of 12 centimeters. The perimeter of square Y is 2 times the perimeter of square X. What is the length in centimeters of one side of square Y? So we know that the perimeter of a square is 4 times the side length of a square. So let's calculate the perimeter of square X. It's 4 times 12, which equals 48. And we know that Y is 2 times that, so let's multiply that by 2. Now we get the perimeter of square Y. We just have to find now the length. So perimeter of Y equals 96, which equals 4 times A, being the length of one side of square Y. So to find A, we just have to divide 96 by 4, and it's 24, our answer D. The given function G models the number of gallons of gasoline that remained from a full gas tank in a car after driving m miles. According to the model, about how many gallons of gasoline are used to drive each mile? For each mile means that we are looking how much it's using for 1 mile. Let's plug that in our equation. It gives us negative 0.05 times 1 plus 12.1. It's like 12.1 minus 0.05. We're subtracting 0.05 for each mile. So then it's option A. The key to notice here is that for x minus 4, if we take the 4 out, it's going to give us x negative 1, which is what we're looking for. Now 4 is a positive number, so we can take it out from our absolute value. We just have x negative 1 left. And now we divide both sides by 4. And now we get the positive value of x minus 1. And we know that it's the positive value for sure because it's the absolute value. The given equation relates the positive numbers b, x, and y. Which equation correctly expresses x in terms of b and y? Now all we have to do is try to find what does x equal in terms of the others. So we try to free the x so that we can have x alone. So we multiply both sides by y to get rid of the y. And then we divide by 11. Now we know that if we divide two fractions together, it's going to equal multiplication of the inverse fraction. And we know that 11 equals 11 divided by 1. And now we have y divided by 7b times 1 divided by 11. So we multiply the denominators, which gives us y divided by 77b equals x, which is option C. I'm having a bit of a problem here trying to move the keypad, but I hope this won't happen to you, so I just had to hide it. Anyway. The table shows 4 values of x and their corresponding values of fx. There is a linear relationship between x and fx that is defined by the equation fx equals m times x minus 28, where m is a constant. What is the value of m? Now we have two methods to solve this. You either take two corresponding values of x and fx, plug them into the equation and solve for m, since you have only one unknown variable, which is m. Or you can calculate the slope. Now let's do the first method. Plug in the values 10 and 82. And then we solve for m. So we take 28 to the other side, it's plus 28 equals m times 10. We divide both sides by 10, we get m. And then let's just plug that into our calculator to find m. we find that m equals 11. Now for the second method, calculating the slope, we take 2 points and subtract the first from the second, and we should get the same result, which is 11. The point x53 is a solution to the system of inequalities in the xy plane. Which of the following could be the value of x? So we have x53. Now, when we have a point, then that means the first is x and the second is y. So we have our y equals 53. We plug that into our first equation. It gives us 53 strictly superior than 14, which is true. Now let's plug it into our second equation, which is going to help us find the value of x. So 4x plus 53 is strictly inferior than 18. We take 53 to the other side, so minus 53, and we divide both sides by 4, which gives us this value. Let's plug it into our calculator. It gives us minus 8.75. So x could be a value which is strictly smaller than minus 8.75. For example, it could be minus 8.80, minus 8.90, negative 9, etc. So let's just try to look for a value that is strictly smaller than negative 8.75 in our choices. Negative 9 is smaller than negative 8.75, so that is an option. Now let's look through all the options to make sure. Negative 5 is bigger than negative 8.7 because it's closer than 0, so it's not an option. 5 and 9 are positive numbers, so they're all bigger than negative 8.75, so they're not an option either. So our only option left is negative 9. Bacteria are growing in a liquid growth medium. There were 300,000 cells per millimeter during an initial observation. The number of cells per millimeter doubles every 3 hours. How many cells per millimeter will there be 15 hours after the initial observation? So according to the problem, we have that every 3 hours, it's gonna double. So our value is gonna be multiplied by 2. And then another 3 hours passes. We're going to multiply that value by 2, in other words, double it every 3 hours. So how many will our value be after 15 hours? Now, to know that, we need to know how many 3 hours are then in 15. So we divide it by 3, we have 5. If we add them up together, we get 15. And every 3 hours is going to double, so times 2 times 2 times 2, 5 times, which equals 2 to the power of 5, right? Now, let's get our initial value. Then we're going to double it by 2 to the power of 5. We plug that into our calculator. We get this number, which is our option D. Okay, so we have a graph in this problem. The graph gives the estimated number of catalogs Y in thousands a company sent to its customers at the end of each year, where X represents the number of years since the end of 1992, where X is between 0 and 10. Which statement is the best interpretation of the y-intercept in this context? So let's go through each option that we have. So option A, the estimated total number of catalogs the company sent to its customers during the first 10 years was 9,000. So let's go read the value 9,000. It is here, 9. And the y-intercept is represented in 1,000, so 9,000. And we know that our x-intercept starts from 0, which is the end of 92. So by the end of 92, the company sent 9,000 catalogs. It doesn't specifically specify that it's in the first 10 years. It's just by the end of 92. So we cross that out. Now option B, the estimated total numbers of catalog the company sent to its customers from the end of 1992 to the end of 2002 was 90. Now there are 10 years between 92 and 2002. So from 0 to 10, it has at least sent 9,000 by the end of 92. and throughout the years it kept sending. Even though it's declining, it kept sending from the end of 92 to the end of 2002. So it cannot be just 90. We crossed that out. The estimated number of catalogs the company sent to its customers at the end of 1992 was 9. Now, if you go look at the end of 1992, which is 0, we see that it's 9,000 because in the problem they said that the y-intercept is estimated in thousands, so it cannot be 9. It's 9,000. The estimated number of catalogs the company sent to its customers at the end of 92 was 9,000. Now, if you go read at the value of 92, which is 0 because the graph starts at the end of 92, and we read it in thousands, 9,000. So yes, this option is correct. Which expression is equivalent to the root of 7 of x to the power of 9 times y to the power of 9, where x and y are positive? Now, we know that what's under the root cannot be negative, and they've already told us that x and y are positive numbers, so you can get this out of the way and be sure that what's under the root is positive. Okay, make sure to check that before going into the problem, because you might fall into a mistake. Well, anyway, so we know that if we have x, a number, let's call it x, times another number, let's call it y, all of this to the power of a number a, it can equal to x to the power of that number times y to the power of that same number. So let's do that here. So root of 7 of x to the power of 9 times y to the power of 9 equals root of 7, all of that, x times y to the power of 9. Now, we know something else, that the root of something, the root of x, for example, it can equal x to the power of 1 divided by 2. The cubic root of x is going to equal x to the power of 1 divided by 3, and so on. So here we have 7 roots x times y to the power of 9, which equals x times y to the power of 9, all of this to the power of 1 divided by 7. Now we have another rule that says if we have x to the power of a, okay, and all of this is to the power of another number, let's call it b, it's going to equal x to the power of a times that number. Okay, so let's apply this here. 9 times 1 divided by 7. X times y to the power of 9 times 1 divided by 7, which gives us 9 divided by 7. Let's look at this in our options. We notice that it's option B. The population of City A increased by 7% from 2015 to 2016. If the 2016 population is k times the 2015 population, what is the value of k? So from the text, we have that 2016 population equals k times 2015 population. Now, the 2015 population increased by 7%. What does that mean? It means that what we had, which is 100%, okay, it increased, which means we added 7% of that to it. So we have 100% plus 7%. How do we express that numerically? 100% is 1 plus 7%, which is 7 divided by 100. Now 1 times 100 is 100 plus 7 divided by 100 equals 107 divided by 100, which equals 1.07. So this is our k. If we multiply the 2015 population, we're going to get an increase of 7%. So the original population plus the 7% of it, and which is our option C. Which of the following systems of linear equations has no solution? Now, what do we mean by no solution? No solution is that x or any variable cannot have a value. It's impossible or absurd. Okay, so it does not equal something. Now, we are talking about systems, so it's x and y, so both x and y shouldn't have values. Now let's cross the option A out because x and y already have values 3 and 5. Now let's look at the second option B. We have y equals 6x plus 6. Let's subtract the second from this. We're gonna have minus y minus 5x minus 6, which gives us 0 equals x. Okay, so x equals 0. Now let's look for y. If x equals 0, then y equals 6 times 0 plus 6. So y equals 6. Now both x and y have values, so this linear equations have a solution, so we cross that out. Now let's look at option C. Let's subtract these two. Now y minus y equals 16x plus 3 minus 16x minus 19, which gives us 0 equals 0, plus 3 minus 19, which equals minus 16. Okay, so 0 equals minus 16, which is absurd. It cannot be, it's impossible. So this can be our answer if D is wrong too. So let's look at D. Y equals 5, so we have a value for y. Now let's look for x. If y equals 5, then 5 equals 5x plus 5. We take this to the other side, so 5 minus 5 equals 5x. 5x equals 0, which implies that x equals 0. Now both y and x have values, so this system of linear equations has a solution. We crossed it out, so our only correct option is C. First term of a sequence is 9. Each term after the first is 4 times the preceding term. If w represents the nth term of the sequence, which equation gives w in terms of n? So if the first term equals 9, what is the term after it? From the text, we know that w2 is 4 times the preceding term, so 9. Now for w3, it's 4 times the preceding term, w2. And for w4, it's the preceding term times 4, which is w3. So what does this equal? It's 4 times 4 times 9, which equals 4 to the power of 2 times 9. What does this equal? It's 4 times 4 to the power of 2 times 9, which equals 4 to the power of 3 times 9. Okay, now let's generalize this into Wn for any given term, be it W1, W2, W3, etc. And here, of course, it's n equals 1, n equals 2, n equals 3, etc. As we can see, there is a pattern here. We always have 9 multiplied by 4. So you put that here, 9 times, it's always 4 to the power of something. You know, notice the pattern. So it's 4. Now, when we have 4 to the power of 3, what does n equal? It equals 4, which is n minus 1, if n equals 4. Now, when n equals 3, here it's still n minus 1, which is 2. Here, n equals 2. This is still n minus 1, okay? And here it's times 4 to the power of 0, which is 1. So equals 9 times 1. So we noticed here that the power of 4 is always n minus 1. So here we put to the power of n minus 1. This is the pattern that repeats. Let's try to look for this in our answers, and we find that it's D. The minimum value of x is 12 less than 6 times another number n. Which inequality shows the possible values of x? Okay, so the minimum value of x implies that x can be equal or more than that value. So x is equal or more to something. Okay, what is that something? In analyzing these text-based operations, it's better if you start with the easiest ones. So 6 times another number n. 6 times its multiplication, another n, which just implies there is another number called n. So 6n. X is 12 less than this here. So it's 12 less than. So it's basically saying that we have to subtract 12 from here. And we just have to plug this here. So 6n minus 12. Let's try to look at this here. And there we have it, answer B. The side lengths of right triangles RST are given. The triangle RST is similar to triangle UVW, where S corresponds to V and T corresponds to W. What is the value of tangent W? T corresponds to W means that T equals W, which implies that tangent T equals tangent W. Example. If T equals 20 degrees, for example, then that must equal W. And 20 degrees equals 20 degrees, so tangent 20 degrees equals tangent 20 degrees. And that is just an example to showcase this. So it's sufficient to find the tangent T. And how to do that? We have the triangle. TR is the hypotenuse because it's the longest one. We are left with S, which is our 90-degree angle. RS is 20 and ST is 48. And here is our angle T. So we need to just calculate the tangent of T, which is 20 divided by 48. The adjacent and the opposite. Okay? Labeled by the angle. The opposite to the angle and the adjacent to the angle. So tangent T equals tangent W, which equals 20 divided by 48. But we don't have that in our options. Now, when you have a fraction like this, try to simplify it. Let's find the common divisor. I'm going to try 4. It looks like the biggest common divisor, which gives us 5 divided by 12, which is answer B. The graph of 9x minus 10y equals 19 is translated down 4 units in the xy plane. What is the x-coordinate of the x-intercept of the resulting graph? So translated down 4 units means that we subtracted 4 from the original y-coordinate to give us y that we have in this equation. And we want to look for the original coordinates and not the ones that are translated down 4 units. To find it, we just have to add those 4 units that we subtracted so that we are able to translate the graph up 4 units and it cancels out. Now let's add that into our equation. Minus 10 y plus 4 equals 19. So the x-intercept happens when y equals 0. So let's put that into our equation, which gives us 9x minus 40 equals 19. Now we try to find x, which equals 19 plus 40. We divide both sides by 9, which gives us 59 divided by 9. Now there is no common divisor, so let's just put that here.